"I gave you life," M screamed when confronted. But the forensic accountant found $280,000 in credit cards, loans, and mortgages in my name since I was 15. When the IRS agent knocked on her door, she tried to blame. But they already knew. She tried to blame me. Her own daughter. Said I must have given her permission and forgotten, that I was ungrateful, that children owe their parents everything. But Special Agent Rawlings just smiled grimly and pulled out a folder thick with evidence of a decade-long crime spree that started when I was barely old enough to have a learner's permit. My name is Brooke, and until last month, I thought my biggest problem was not getting approved for a car loan despite having a steady job as a nurse. I was 25, financially responsible, and had been saving religiously. The rejection letter made no sense. "I'm sorry, Miss Coleman," the loan officer had said, looking at his screen with a frown. "With your current debt-to-income ratio and credit history, we can't approve this loan." "What debt?" I'd asked. "I pay my credit card off every month. I don't have any other loans." That's when he turned his monitor toward me, and my life as I knew it ended. 6 maxed-out credit cards. 3 personal loans. A mortgage on a house I'd never seen. All opened between the ages of 15 and 25. All in default or collections. Total debt, $280,000. "This has to be a mistake," I whispered, staring at the screen. I don't even know these companies." The loan officer's expression softened. "Miss Coleman, I think you need to pull your full credit report. This looks like identity theft." 3 hours later, I sat in my apartment with 40 pages of credit history spread across my coffee table. My hands shook as I traced the pattern. The first credit card opened when I was 15. I'd been a sophomore in high school, worried about algebra tests and making the volleyball team. By 16, there were 3 more cards. By 18, personal loans. At 21, someone had taken out a mortgage in my name for a rental property in Phoenix. I'd never even been to Phoenix. But what made my blood run cold were the addresses. They were all variations of places I'd lived with my parents. The phone numbers were all 1 digit off from mine or my mother's. And the employment history listed on the applications. It was my mother's job history, just with my name. "No," I said out loud to my empty apartment. She wouldn't. But even as I said it, memories started clicking into place. Mom insisting on helping with my college applications, needing my social security number for family insurance purposes. The way she'd always collected the mail, getting agitated if I tried to help. Her insistence that I didn't need to worry about building credit because she was taking care of it. She had been taking care of it, all right. Taking care of destroying my financial future before it even began. I called my dad first, I don't know what I was hoping for. Shock? Disbelief? Support? "Brooke, sweetheart," he sighed when I told him. "You know how your mother is with money. I'm sure she meant to pay it all back. She stole my identity when I was 15. I shouted. "This is a crime." "She gave you life," he said, as if that excused everything. "She fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. So what if she needed to borrow your credit for a while?" "Borrow?" I laughed bitterly. "Dad, she's destroyed my credit. I can't get a car loan. I probably can't rent an apartment. I might lose my job if they run a background check. Don't be dramatic. And don't you dare involve the police. She's your mother." I hung up on him. My next call was to Sophia Martinez, a forensic accountant recommended by a coworker who dealt with identity theft. Sophia's office was clean and organized, a stark contrast to the chaos in my life. "Walk me through everything," she said, her fingers poised over her keyboard. For 2 hours, we went through every fraudulent account. Sophia's expression grew increasingly grim as the full picture emerged. "Brooke," she said finally, "this is one of the most extensive cases of parental identity theft I've seen. Your mother didn't just open a few cards. She created an entire false financial life using your identity. Look at this." She pulled up a map dotted with red pins. "These are all the addresses where bills were sent. She had mail forwarding, P.O. boxes, even used vacant properties. This took planning. How much damage are we talking about?" Sophia's fingers flew over her calculator. "Between the principal, interest, late fees, and collections, you're looking at close to $400,000 in total liability. And that's not counting the tax implications." Tax implications? 3 of these credit cards were used for cash advances that were never declared as income. The IRS is going to want their cut. I felt the room spin. I'm going to lose everything. "No," Sophia said firmly. You're going to fight. First, we file police reports. Then we contact each creditor. But Brooke, you need to understand, to clear your name, you'll have to prosecute your mother. I know, I said quietly. I'm ready. The next weeks were a blur of police stations, affidavits, and devastating discoveries. Detective Lauren Hughes took my case seriously from the start. We see this more than you'd think, she said, reviewing the evidence. Parents assume their kids will never find out, or won't prosecute if they do. Your mother was counting on your silence. She was right. Mom had been so confident that I'd never turn her in that she'd gotten sloppy. The forensic investigation revealed she'd used her work computer to apply for several loans, leaving a digital trail. She'd even listed me as employed at her company, while I was still in high school. We need to confront her, Detective Hughes said. Would you be willing to make a recorded call? I agreed, though my hands shook as I dialed the familiar number. Hi, sweetie. Mom's voice was bright normal. How's my favorite daughter? Mom, I need to talk to you about something serious. I tried to get a car loan and found out I have hundreds of thousands in debt. Silence. Then, oh that. Baby, I was going to tell you. I've been meaning to clean that up. You've been stealing from me since I was 15. Stealing? Her voice turned sharp. I gave you life. I raised you. Do you have any idea how expensive children are? I was just taking back what I was owed. What you were owed. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Do you think your father's pathetic salary covered everything? Your volleyball uniforms, your prom dress, your college? I had to get creative. By ruining my future? Oh, please. You're being dramatic. A little debt never killed anyone. $280,000 is not a little debt. Is that all? She actually laughed. I thought it would be more by now. Mom, I said slowly, I've filed police reports. The detective is listening to this call. The silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. Then, in a voice I'd never heard before, cold and flat. You ungrateful little bitch. After everything I've done for you. Everything you've done to me, I corrected. I should have gotten that abortion like I wanted, she hissed. 26 years of my life wasted on an ungrateful brat who'd send her own mother to prison. You sent yourself to prison the moment you stole my social security number. She hung up. The arrest happened 2 days later. Dad called me, hysterical, saying the police had taken Mom from her office in handcuffs. Her co-workers had watched as she was let out, screaming about ungrateful children and how she'd given me life. How could you? He demanded. She's your mother. And I'm her daughter. I screamed back. That should have meant something to her. The investigation revealed more than anyone expected. Mom didn't just steal my identity. She'd also taken out policies and loans using my deceased grandmother's information, my teenage cousin's SSNs, and even opened accounts in the name of my brother who died in infancy 20 years ago. Your mother operated a sophisticated fraud ring, Agent Rawlings from the IRS explained when he joined the case. She owes over $150,000 in taxes on unreported income from cash advances and fraudulent loans. But I'll still be responsible for the debt in my name? We're working with the creditors. With a conviction, most will write off the debt as fraudulent. But it'll take time to repair your credit. The trial was a media circus. Mother steals daughter's identity for decade made headlines. Mom tried every defense, mental illness, financial desperation, even claiming I'd given permission. But the evidence was overwhelming. Sophia had done her job well, creating a timeline that showed I was in high school chemistry class when Mom was across town applying for a mortgage in my name. The worst part was listening to her testimony. She showed no remorse, only rage that I'd exposed her. She talked about the sacrifices of motherhood, the costs of raising children, how modern kids don't understand gratitude. I gave her life, she said on the stand, looking directly at me. I could have aborted her, given her up for adoption. Instead, I raised her, and this is how she repays me. By expecting you not to commit felony fraud? The prosecutor asked drily. Dad testified too, admitting he'd known something was going on but thought it was just a few credit cards. I told her to stop, he said weakly. But you know how she is with money. And you never thought to warn your daughter? The prosecutor pressed. I didn't want to get involved. That was Dad in a nutshell. Never wanting to get involved, even when his daughter's future was being systematically destroyed. The jury deliberated for less than 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. 22 counts of identity theft, fraud, and tax evasion. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in federal prison. Mrs. Coleman, the judge said, You betrayed the most fundamental trust between a parent and child. You didn't just steal money. You stole your daughter's future, her security, her ability to trust. The fact that you show no remorse makes it clear you're a danger to anyone whose personal information you can access. Mom didn't look at me as they led her away in shackles. But I heard her tell her lawyer, loud enough for everyone to hear. I should have known she'd be ungrateful. Just like her father. The aftermath was almost as hard as the trial. Dad filed for divorce. Not out of loyalty to me, but because the IRS was coming after their joint assets. Extended family chose sides, some saying I should have handled it within the family. Others appalled by what Mom had done. Rebuilding my credit took 2 years of constant work. Every fraudulent account had to be disputed individually. Some creditors were understanding. Others fought tooth and nail. Sophia worked tirelessly, and eventually we cleared most of it. The rental property in Phoenix turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Mom had actually made payments on it using my other fraudulent accounts, and it had appreciated in value. Once we proved the fraud, I was able to sell it and use the proceeds to pay off the legitimate debts I'd accrued during the nightmare. I changed my name, not drastically, just enough to make it harder for anyone to connect me to the headlines. I moved to a new city, started fresh. Therapy helped, though I still have days where I check my credit report obsessively, terrified of finding new accounts. Mom served 5 years of her 8-year sentence. She was released early for good behavior and immediately started sending me letters. I returned them unopened. Dad forwards messages sometimes, saying she's changed, found God, wants to make amends. She's your mother, he still says. She gave you life. No, I correct him every time. She gave me birth. There's a difference. A mother protects her child. She tried to destroy me before I even had a chance to build a life. Last month, I finally qualified for that car loan. As I signed the papers, my real signature, for my real purchase, with my rebuilt credit, I thought about the 15-year-old girl doing algebra homework, unaware that her mother was across town committing felony fraud in her name. I couldn't protect that girl, but I could protect the woman she became. The car isn't fancy, just a reliable Honda. But it's mine, purchased with credit I rebuilt from ashes, with an identity I fought to reclaim. Mom might have given me life, but I gave myself a future. One she tried to steal, one transaction at a time. Sometimes, when I'm driving, I think about her in prison, still convinced she did nothing wrong. Still believing that giving birth entitled her to destroy what she created. But mostly, I don't think about her at all. She stole 10 years of my financial life. I won't let her steal another minute of my peace.